Hello and welcome to the Superior Autocraft review of the Smith & Wesson Model 19.5. And just by way of a quick introduction before we get started here, I do want to mention, I'm a big fan of history and heritage, and I think being able to pass things down is very important, really adds value to things, being able to keep something in the family, all that wonderful stuff. And then also, as they mentioned, those who fail to learn history are doomed to repeat it. So we'll see why that's important here in just a few moments. Without any further ado, though, I want to go ahead and put on my table here the Smith & Wesson Model 19.5. Originally a lighter, smaller end frame designated the Combat Magnum. It was christened the Model 19 and released in 1957. Originally developed with a retired member of the U.S. Border Patrol, Bill Jordan, who also served in the United States Marine Corps in World War II and was an expert marksman of all firearms. So this gun became extremely popular with police officers, given its relatively lightweight and ease of carry compared to other weapons at the time, combined with the stopping power of the .357 Magnum cartridge. So this is a Model 19-5, which was actually originally owned by a police officer. It was his carry gun, and it was later purchased by my own father, who in turn gave it to me as my first pistol. So it's also coincidentally the first handgun I ever fired. So, all told, the Model 19 was produced for 45 years, all the way until 1999, and was used by a multitude of agencies, both foreign and domestic, so it just really speaks to the reliability and functionality of the gun. It is worth mentioning that there's no rail to mount a light, though a laser grip could probably be added, as most crimes occur under the cover of darkness. It would behoove you to train with a flashlight to protect your home and family. I just so happen to have my Smith & Wesson flashlight. Although this is not my first choice, what I think is the best option to go with this, and I've actually tested this out, is using a headlamp, such as this PFI Nothing Fancy Special. Obviously lots of illumination there. Ooh, look at that. We can finally see, since I'm losing daylight here. We might have to switch on the room light here to add a little bit, but this is a great option. It lets you look independently of the gun, and you're going to have that illumination that you really need. Features. This Model 19 features the blued finish and a 4-inch barrel. Other options include a 2.5 and 6-inch barrel, as well as a nickel finish. The Model 66 variant offered a stainless finish, and one rare version of that had a 3-inch barrel. These could come with round or square butts, but this one is wearing a Hogue mono grip. And it's a 6-shot cylinder, and it can be fired both double action and single action. So ergonomics, wearing those Hogue grips, the feel of the gun is very solid and stable. I've had a lot of new shooters try this gun. They find it points naturally, and the added weight helps mitigate recoil, especially if you're shooting 38 special to practice. The original wood grips, though, leave a lot to be desired. Let me show you those. Here they are. These are bulky and not really accommodating. You can see the base here next to the Hogues, and for those without large hands, it can be a little tricky. You can see here on the bottom just how much difference there is holding the two, and that's quite a contrast there. The cylinder release is very easy to access, and it's got a good resistance to avoid accidentally actuating that. So you got a very solid release there. You don't have to worry about that. The trigger pull is heavy, but it's smooth. I mean, it's double action, so you have all that weight inside there, but you really can stage it. I mean, you can really pull that all the way out here and hold it right on the edge, get your sight picture lined up, and squeeze your shot off. So in single action, it's very short and crisp. I mean, you can see the difference here. Just barely working that little trigger there. Reliability, the Model 19 is extremely reliable, especially as it's a revolver, and therefore if it fails to fire, there's a simple solution. Squeeze the trigger again. And that's all that's required in a majority of cases. I've never had any mechanical problems with this gun. Neither did the previous owners before me. I personally put hundreds of rounds to this revolver, and the gun just loves to keep working. I mean, it is a workhorse, and it'll go all day long. Let me tell you, shooting magnums, it'll last longer than your hands will. Accuracy. The Model 19 is very accurate, especially in single action shooting. That being said, shooting double action is a learned skill, though at this point I can confidently connect with 12-inch targets at over 20 yards, which I consider good combat accuracy. And that's just rough stuff. I don't really, I don't have a laser rangefinder. I usually have to walk my distances, but you know, I'm always getting better and working on increasing my proficiency. So put simply, the gun's a better shooter than I am, so that really is important to me. It's something I can grow into and learn from. Accessories. Now, there are a number of accessories for the Model 19 that help bring up to speed in 2012. Of course, there's the classic leather Bianchi holster. Okay. A number of companies make holster options in both belt and shoulder configurations. I think Galco makes an excellent offering for shoulder carry. Though there aren't any solid options for more modern materials such as Kydex, though it's not too difficult to produce a holster of your own, which is something that I'm looking into. That being said, you know, you see this holster, you can see it in my other videos when I'm shooting. It rides a little high, it's definitely classic, but you get used to it and you train with it. I do love the sound, though, of clearing leather on this. And that snap closure, let's listen. That's a special sound. That means it's business time, ladies and gentlemen. There's also speed loaders. This one is an HKS turn knob, and this currently has the Remington Golden Sabers for home defense loaded into it. Some people offer a push-pull action instead of this turn action to release. It's a pull knob or a push knob. I think Safariland offers one of those, and some people prefer that to avoid spinning the cylinder if you don't have a good setup here. If you're turning, if you're opening your cylinder here, dropping your rounds in, and you go to turn this, if you don't have a solid grip, you're going to turn your cylinder instead and not release the rounds. But that's just a training issue for me. And if you haven't watched my revolver shooting video, there is a part where I run into a little speed loader issue. I drop a round. It does take practice to ensure all the rounds go into the cylinder to avoid dragging one back out. Sometimes what can happen is after you've deposited the rounds, one can stay lodged. Let's just pick one here. You. Or you. One can stay lodged. As you go to extract the speed loader, you can accidentally pull that round out. Sometimes it'll fall to the ground. It does take practice, but you know, as the backup, since it's a revolver, you can still slam that shut, keep squeezing. You're going to have one empty cylinder, and you'll have one part where the hammer will fall, nothing will happen. But after that, it's going to keep firing, so that's one of the advantages of that circumstance. Also, there's the obvious hoe grips already mentioned. Price. Most examples of Model 19.5s are floating between $400 to $700 online. If you bide your time, I'm sure you could find a good bargain. It's a classic. It's always going to be around. Obviously, all the examples are used. Some are going to be unfired, but given the reliability and construction of the revolver, even if it was something that was carried like this was as a duty pistol, it's not something to worry too much about. So I really wouldn't, you know, if you can buy one locally, inspect it, take a good look at it, but really, I mean, they're so well built, it's hard to go wrong. I will mention one more thing. Oh, jumping back to accessories real quick, I will mention one thing is the red front sight there. That's actually painted by myself. The black on black original sight picture was sometimes difficult to see, so I did add that, did that job on the front sight. Recommendations. What can you change on a classic, really? Buy one, you'll love it. It's just such a fantastic revolver. Reliable, rugged, classic, and accurate. The looks, the feel, the manual action, really learning to stage that trigger. And I look forward to passing it down to future generations myself. So it's something that you can keep going with, keep enjoying. And one day, who knows who will have it. So, again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. A little blast from the past. The Smith & Wesson Model 19.5 on the Superior Autocraft channel. More to come. We had that GSG Model 1911 that you saw in the revolver shooting video. That's going to be on tabletop. There is still the fabled other 1911 that should be coming here very soon. Stick around, thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.